morning. I want to do this video on the using your resources well, and I have another confession. I think this series is becoming confession time for me. Because I'm noticing things that I could do better, and that's how I'm coming up with these topics. So most of these are confessions. Not that I really am happy about what I do. My laundry habits are terrible, like really bad. I'm sorry. I need to do better. Mom probably is just like, oh my goodness, this child of mine. Yeah. So here is a major using your resources well thought. Every time you re-wash your load because you maybe forgot it, kind of, sort of, or you forgot and left it in the dryer and it's damp or something like that, and you got to re-wash it, that's a lot of extra water we're using. That's a lot of extra electricity and time, trips back and forth. Like for me, every time I have to come down to the basement, it's like, it's exhausting. But yeah, I use more resources than I want to admit in re-washing clothes because I left them too long in between load changes. So that's another use your resources well, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. I know I see people joke about it all the time on social media. We need to do better at that because it really does use a lot of precious water, and water really is a precious source. We have it abundantly here in the US, if you're watching from the US anyway. But not every place has that, and we need to remember it's really a precious resource, and how much are we wasting? I'm really bad about that. Not only when I do it does it use more water, sometimes if you do it for too long it uses a lot because you may have to wash it more than once. In our case, I've found that if I have it happen and I rewash on the scalding hot water, because we have gas water heater and the water is really hot, and if I rewash it really hot, it makes it fresh much quicker. Otherwise, if it's on cold, then I may have to wash 2 or 3 times to get that musty funk out. Don't like that. So if I can rewash less, I would rather do it on hot load if I can. There's some colors you kind of can't do that, so depends on what your load is. But be more diligent with the laundry and making sure that we don't forget. The Fly Lady system often recommends setting a timer. Like in my case, my dryer has a little bell on it, so I hear, but yet it's not very loud, and I often don't hear it when it's done. But if I set a timer upstairs, that can help me not forget. So maybe set timers for your loads so you don't forget. In my case, I'm starting to utilize my children helpers a little bit more to come down and help me do changes. I've taught them how to change and start new loads and sort and all that. So both of them, even my 7-year-old who's about to turn 8, she knows how to do it. I don't ask her very often. I'll ask my 11-year-old more, and they get their allowances, so they get paid for helping out and so forth. But it's very useful. And if I'm in the middle of doing some lunch after a busy morning of homeschool, I will totally say, hey Daniel, can you go down? Can you give me a load change? That would be great if you can. And he'll do that. And they also help me with carrying them upstairs too. So that's helped minimize my load stinkies that happen. But in the same turn, I'm still bad about doing that. Once in a while, sorry, my nose is itching. I try not to scratch when I'm filming, but you just guys gonna have to deal with my normal. Once in a while, what has happened to me a few times is I've sent one of them down, or maybe they've done it on their own, being really helpful, and that's awesome when they're helpful, but sometimes I may not realize they've helped with that, and they may forget about it, and then I won't even know that there is a load in the washer, and I'll come down in another day and it's like, whew, yeah, okay, that's got to be redone. But that's just where they try to be helpful, and I cannot at all condemn them trying to be helpful. I love it when they're trying to be helpful. So just something to be aware of and to think of it from a different perspective, because I think in that day-to-day life we kind of like, I did it again, I did it again, and you just kind of view it as normal. But try not to view it as normal, because it is a massive waste of resource. When I hear of little children in remote areas in Africa, for example, that are going miles every day to get just like a 5-gallon jug of water and carry it back to their family, it really makes me ashamed of how bad we are about these things and how much water. My machine is actually not high efficiency, so it's that much more water that we're using. And while our water bill isn't very high, our sewer bill, which is based on our water usage, can be pretty high. So we have to really watch about that and be careful. So it's just another thought on using your resources well. Have a blessed day.